we're on. So can y'all introduce yourselves?
I am Troy Burton. I'm the director and producer of A Real Nigga Show.
I'm Bobby Lee Hardy. I am an actor and co-writer of A Real Nigga Show.
And associate producer this time around.
Big time, big time. Can y'all start off with telling me I know you just gave me your roles, but your connection to the piece. Like how long you've been doing this, how did you join the cast, so on and so forth.
Well, so I'm one of the original cast members since 2003, along with Joshua Dixon and Easy. And yeah, I remember having some time off from school. I moved to LA for a little bit and took a sabbatical, if you will, from college and moved to LA. I was going to LA to be a star. It didn't work out that way at 21 or whatever. So when I came back, before I went back into the conservatory, I was home and I begged this one, like, we need to do something. We need to do something. I want to do a show. I want to do something. We need to rewrite it. And he's like, I don't feel like doing no show. I'm not going to do it. And then finally, he's like, yeah, we can do it, but y'all motherfuckers going to write it. And we gotta come up with a name. We gotta come up with a strong concept. And we ended up meeting with Easy and Chu and Robert Chu, God rest his soul. And then the rest is literally history.
So how old were you when y'all first started this?
I just turned 22.
22. So what did you think this was going to be? As a Baltimorean, an actor, somebody who was in the pursuit of being a performer, what did you think this production was going to be?
Well, I just I didn't think 17 years later. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be honest with you, I knew it was going to be a powerhouse, but I knew that I wanted to do something because with my friends, I got my artsy-fartsy friends, and then I'm a little hood too. And I wanted to do something where we could merge the two. You know what I mean? I wanted to do something where, that it was educational and enlightening, and it could also bring people to the theater that weren't used to coming to the theater, and they could have an amazing experience. And that's definitely what it turned into. And so, like I said again, I'm so grateful for that because I didn't think 17 years later we would still, be kicking it. And then, the beautiful part about this is that we literally have folks that have been with us for the entire journey, folks that have never missed a show since 2003, who also feel like they've grown with the production. And that's really a blessing because this is truly a Baltimore cult classic.
How have you grown with this piece in terms of being a 20-something-year-old student to now you're a grown man for bills and responsibilities?
I grow as it grows. I treat it like I treat anything else. I treat it like I treat anything else. Same way I would approach a production if I was going to play at the Denver Center for the Performing Arts, or if it was Everyman Theater or anything. I treat this baby the same way I would treat any other baby. And every time I open up the script, I look for something new. It's not just like, oh, here we go, like I've done this before. I treat it literally like it's a baby, and just always constantly, as an actor, you got to be a master detective, constantly looking for new clues, new things, and I hope I answered that.
How does it feel having ownership in this journey versus you just doing the piece, learning the lines and stuff? How does it feel actually having ownership in it?
It's a beautiful thing because, I never wanted to go through my entire career always saying someone else's words, and it is a different connection in that aspect because it's something that I wrote, and it's really it's beautiful because it's not, I wrote some of it, but I'm speaking for so many different people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? From perspectives of people that I actually know, and from my own perspective. So in that aspect, it's amazing. It's more, it's spiritual.
I've seen some of the characters that you created outside of doing A Real Nigga Show. How was it being able to incorporate your own personal message or your own personal story inside of this versus just learning lines?
You know, it kind of hits home when you really know the people.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I still got to do some digging and still got to do my homework and still do my research, and you know, some of those characters are no longer with us. Like one of the characters, the Madman, is based on my cousin. My cousin was murdered in 2017, and then I also, Be More Stand, Man, my Uncle Stan died in 2013. But he's actually gotten to see the show. You know what I'm saying? Like so many times. So yeah, it's personal.
That's one of your staple characters.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. Troy, how has it been watching Robert and the other gentlemen grow over the last 17 years?
Wow, I've been actually watching them grow from young adults into seasoned men, responsible men who have created their own families, raising their own children, become great fathers, and I mean, just to go with that journey with them, and also to watch them in their careers, to actually develop their careers as artists when they were young artists and thirsty to create things, but now they're seasoned artists where they make their own way. I mean, Robert had several one-man shows under his belt. Easy Jackson is the owner of his own record label, and he put out a lot of great music in the city. So seeing these guys actually do this, it's like, it's an honor to have been there in the beginning and hear them talk about their visions and then speaking their visions into existence and making it happen. So.
But y'all just said from the beginning, you put them in a position of ownership or leadership.
Oh, yeah.
You wasn't just going to write something to make them great or showcase their talent. You forced them to write their own message.
Oh, yeah. We definitely, from the very beginning, I said to them, if we're going to create something, because during the time I was working at Arena Players Youth Theater, and I was creating shows with the young people there. And so I had a hand in creating a lot of shows, original pieces for young people. But I told them, if we're going to do something, we're really going to do it, and we're going to do a full stage production where we own it and we create everything with it. So, I mean, doing that was just an honor because, I mean, just sitting down trying to come up with the concept and what direction we're going to go in from there. And then once we had the concept of the show, because originally this wasn't named a Real Nigga Show, we called it
Endangered Species.
So we knew because it was a group of African-American men that we wanted to talk about our stories, things that we're involved in. So we actually, I mean, that's where the whole concept of it came. And we always had the concept of the Choreopoem because I know as a director, that's my forte. That's a big thing with me, creating pieces like that. So, I mean, we were just reading and workshopping, and we said, hey, why not call it a Real Nigga Show? And then once that was said, that gave us the whole thing, you know, with Robert being a classically trained actor, Easy being a musician, you know, so that whole writing style, just those two guys got together, and then when you merge them together, and then we invited some others in, and then I kind of did my thing and said, okay, well, let me give it the structure of this. The ideas were just flowing. We had these workshop rehearsals, and then from one thing to the next. I mean, even down to the theme of You Thought I Was Him, which is currently running throughout the show. One of our actors, Joshua Dixon, that piece actually came from an improv. You know, where I would say to the guys, everybody bring something to the table.
He was only 17 at the time.
Yeah. And bring something to the table. Josh brought to the table this whole idea of You Thought I Was Him. Actually, he didn't do his homework. And keep it real. And so he improv the piece right in the rehearsal, but using his skills as an actor. And when he came up with that, I was like, that's it. And we were easily bouncing around the table. I mean, we just all have natural chemistry because we all, you know, we all like each other. We all love each other. We're brothers. So the thing about it is just having that natural chemistry, it blossomed. I mean,
and that's a true statement, just to piggyback off that, because I can honestly say, like, there have been times where I've written things and it's like challenging, like writer's block was there or whatever was going on. And a lot of times, it was me and Easy had a lot of sessions like by ourselves where we were like, even if it was like my individual monologue that I was writing and I bounced it off of him, when we came together, I can honestly say that some of this was effortless. I'm telling you, like even like I remember being in the basement one night with Easy, and we literally wrote old niggas and then called Josh up to come in the basement and read it with us before we took it in rehearsal. And Troy might have added like one line that like he wanted in there, but it was like, man, easy pen will be going, and we would literally sit down and in less than an hour we would have a whole piece. And that's when you know you're really connected and in rhythm with people, because it was literally magic happening.
It's easy because as actors, especially in the inner city, we always want to play the people around us. That's how many of us got started, emulating the characters around us. So it speaks a lot that Troy kind of allows you all to write about your experiences and not just these mythical characters that you know or have no connection to. Many of the characters, like I said, you then adapted that into your one-man show. And it was apparent that you knew these people. It wasn't just something that you just scratched out the head. You may exaggerate it a little bit, but a lot of it was the honest truth. How close to the truth did you come in your writing or your contribution to this?
Oh, it was all truth. I mean, you might add like some more stuff just for the zhazh of it all, just to add it, like, you know what I mean? But most of the stuff is that gut wrenching stuff that you hear. That stuff is like real, because you know that's one of the blessings I guess I can say with me not being Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? Is that I actually get to give them that real raw, gritty, Baltimore experience that I grew up in. I'm not one of those people that just like lived here for. I don't live here anymore, but it's not like, oh, I was here until I was 17 and then I didn't come back until I was 40, and then it's like, no. I went to elementary, Baltimore City Public School, education here all day. West Side from 21217 to 21229. Taught over 700 children in the city. And so when I'm writing, I'm thinking about all of that, not just the adults. I want my demographic to be 5 to 85 and beyond, and so from Kion, that's something that doesn't have to do with anything in this show, but to Kion, to a standing man, I want to be able to appeal and have a voice for all the Baltimoreans that I came with, in contact with. And I've been, blessed to be able to do that.
What was your relationship in starting this? Like, what was your relationship in starting it? Like, did y'all meet as a result of this show, or?
Oh no! By the time I had already knew Troy, we had already almost had 10 years in the game. I met him when I was about 13, and Easy's my god brother. I've known Josh since he was 5 and I was 10. I met Josh in the 5th grade. And Sandra Beacons, I met them when I was in the 5th grade, and Josh was in the kindergarten. Melvin, who was one of the original cast members, we had known each other since. I've known him since he was a kid too. I know him at least. We did that when we did the show in 2003. I know Melvin since like '99 because we were in youth theater together. Like my last bout, I think he was in Once on This Island, Papa Gay. Yeah, so I know Melvin for a long time. So it literally was a family. We literally were like, this is a fan band from the jump.
Me and Troy spoke briefly about how this kind of started. For you, Troy, what did you think once they came to you? Because they brought you this idea of doing something. Did you know where this something was going to go, or did you just let it happen?
Well, we let it organically happen because I knew that we had, right there in the beginning team, we had the writers to make it happen. So it was just like, okay, now we just got to make sure we have all the integral parts. They write the pieces, they bring them in, we workshop them. My job as a director was to sit down and kind of look at all the pieces and see how we can make it flow effortlessly into a stage piece. And so, just looking at all of the pieces, and all of the pieces have a sense of our ancestors. And so from right there, when we talk about brother, when we talk about a new nigga lives here, the old niggas, poison, what's happened, brother, they're pieces that connect with our ancestors. So it was like, okay, I can conceptually put it together and put some sound cues together, but make sure we're telling a story from because it's a collection of stories. But when we finish this show, what are you going to feel as the audience? That's what I'm thinking as a director. Right. What we're trying to say to the audience and what we want you to feel. And so, I mean, it was just a natural process. I mean, it's something organically or spiritually. It just happened. We all were charged together, and we just like, we're gonna make this happen no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And we did. I mean, we made it happen on our own. We didn't have any grant funding. We didn't have any special support from any particular theater.
Mm-hmm.
We just said, we want to do this show. And we shopped it to several theaters to try to get them to work with us about it. But they wouldn't work with us because of the word. They thought it was a little bit too strong. But then we came to the Baltimore Theater Project, and Ann Forwilder, she, you know, we told her the name of the show, and she instantly said, okay, what date you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And so we knew
we ended up being invited back to do it for a Black History one.
Yeah, as a part of their season.
As a part of their season.
Because the theater project, they saw it something really strong and positive. Also, and I'll say this, they also saw the audiences that we were bringing, the right demographics that they want to tap into. So,
and the lines would be down the stairs, out the door, and down the street.
Yeah,
I was in that line before.
Yeah.
it was one of those things. So it's like, and Ann always said this about the show. When the theater would ask about it, she would say, "Oh no, don't walk away from that. You run to it."
Mm-hmm. Well, this is an experimental Roadhouse style space, so they were all open for it.
And that's why I was so happy that we were able to get a home here, because it's a great space in Baltimore. For one of the community type theaters, they have great tech here. It's hard to go into a good theater that has good lighting, you know. So and this theater project has good lighting. So, and it's a good space to connect with the audience, because the type of piece that we have with this rape audience, I mean, it's just good with how the people connect with it. So,
Right.
So that was something that's always been important with this show. It's how we connect with the audience. So
and now expanding it, going into the 17th year, well, being in the 17th year, and everything that we're in the midst of right now. Did y'all think y'all would be in this space right now preparing to put the show on?
I didn't know what was going to happen. You know, the only thing that I can just say that, like, all over on the other side of the country, dealing with stuff like that over there, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I know every day in my daily meditation and daily prayer, I always just pray to be in perfect rhythm. You know what I mean? And all I can say is, wow, because I don't know too many folks that's doing this or bold enough to do it. You know what I mean? But that's a beautiful thing. 17 years later, and we're also still doing it in the same space.
Right.
And that's something that, you know, Troy used to always tell me when I was younger and write my own shows and stuff like that. You know, even before I wrote my own shows, like, you gotta always, sometimes you gotta create your own meal ticket and you gotta own your own ass. And so that's exactly what's happening right now. All this is happening because of the manifestation of our thoughts.
When he said he was going to live stream it, what was the first thing that came in your mind?
Versus.
Just doing it.
Versus. No. Versus. Like the versus that stuff that's going on. I was just like, well, okay, we can be onto something. This is something that no matter how many numbers we have, it's now global. Because it doesn't matter if it's 5 people watching in London, 2 people in Australia, 10 people, you know what I'm saying? So that's where my thought was, like, wow, this is going global.
So in terms for you, Troy, now thinking about moving into it, like you said, you are now global.
Yeah.
Where does this take this in your mind as a producer?
Well, as a producer, I'm thinking, first of all, I'm thinking, how do you make money? How do you recoup what you invest in the show? And how can you get live theater to people in the middle of a pandemic? And how can you make money from that? There weren't too many people. There are shows that are recorded and they're being streamed, but there are not too many groups that I have heard of that actually rehearsing a show, using social distancing, because some of the blocking we have, like I was watching last night, what was that? A new nigga lives here. It's actually staged social distancing, you know, but you can still feel everything that the actors are saying without them being right up on each other. How do we make theater transfer to the world that we're living in, or this new normal that we're getting ready to go in? And so, and in the middle of all of that, we have the Black Lives. We have this movement going on where the George Floyd murder and Black Lives Matter and all.
We just got another guy shot. Just in the midst of this.
We want to add that to the show.
Oh yeah, somebody got it 7 times, but there was in front of his kids. Yeah.
He's paralyzed.
Jacob Blake.
Jacob Blake. Yeah.
His dad just reported that he's paralyzed from 8 shots. Actually.
And see, but that's been the special niche of a real nigga show. We've always kept with the times. Historically, we keep our base, our foundation. There's some pieces of the show that don't change and they will never change
because they're timeless.
Right.
And that's the foundation for the show. You know, you don't want, when you change them, you start to lose your show. But there are other pieces in the show that we can change out lines and things to reflect on what's happening. Because right now in the show, there's a line that said something about the black president. We'll never have a black president. And when that piece was written, we didn't have a vision of having a black president. But then Barack Obama happened, and so we had to figure out, okay, do we keep the line? Do we change it? You know, and we kept the line because this certain pieces represent a certain period of time in history.
And it feels good to be in a space where that is not a possibility, not to have one anymore. Now we're moving to our first black female vice president, so it has to feel good to be in a space where you've outdated certain parts of it. Right. It has to feel good.
And it actually it shows where we've come from. You know, so this one time we were thinking like this. So you know, and with this current production of it, we started with the idea of having some short films. Now, like the guys rewrite pieces and add new things and to certain pieces in the show. I wanted to stretch a little bit and say, let's do some film things in there.
Right. And about some local Baltimore filmmakers.
Yeah, so we just wanted to expand what we do, and we came up with that idea, and we started. I mean, what was it, last September? We flew to Denver to start just one piece as an experimental piece of how we were going to expand this, and that went so well, and we were able to meet with an artist who was actually from Baltimore and Denver. Robert was living in LA. I came from Baltimore. We all, Damian Patterson was the artist in Denver. We all just kind of came together, and we carry Baltimore wherever we go.
Absolutely.
But then that film thing expanded as different things were happening. Like in the very beginning of the show, we have a piece called Hoodie. And Hoodie is a piece about, it's very similar to what happened with Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman.
And that was co-written by a local Baltimore artist as well.
Sheila Strawberry.
Sheila Gaskins. Sheila Strawberry Gaskins. Sorry.
And so,
Strawberry.
In that piece, it's always, we invite the men in the audience, because it's a live theater experience. We invite the men in the audience to actually come up on stage. But because of what's going on with the pandemic, we said, okay, how are we going to do this? And you know, I said, well, we're going to do a protest film and do a split screen where the guys will still perform as if they're in the play, but then we will use a film to create the backdrop of all the men who come up on the stage. We'll use all the protests that's going on right now.
And that film was taken from President Day, actually.
Yeah, Baltimore.
Yeah.
Baltimore.
A lot of it was from Freddie Gray Uprising. Because I feel like sometimes, even when they shout it out, sometimes Freddie Gray's name gets lost in the sauce. Sometimes they don't mention it as much as others. So when we were coming up with that, I was just like, I really want to make it heavy Baltimore on Freddie Gray.
Because I think that kind of marked Baltimore as kind of, again, that we not just these, hood thugs. We really stand for something.
Absolutely.
But in the middle of all this, then George Floyd happened. Yeah. It's like, oh, wow. And it keeps piling up. Breonna Taylor.
I mean, the same week, wasn't it the same week? So
it became like, okay, as artists, we do represent the times, but it's like, oh, how are we going to get up here? But a good friend of ours, when school was Robert, he was able to make a film.
Yes, Andre Strong.
He was able to, what's his film company?
Lifeform Sound and Film.
he was able to just produce a powerful piece that just people are going to be blown away when they see it, because it'll still be the impact of us pulling up all the men on stage, but this time men and women. It becomes a protest piece, which is the original reason why theater was created, as a form of protest. So, you know.
So we have a few moments left. I want to ask about the relevancy and the unfortunate relevancy where y'all was thinking about this over the last 17 years, and we're in 2020 now, and these things are still happening. As we just spoke, we just had somebody, a man shot by the police 8 times, and he's now paralyzed. But can both of you speak to the relevancy, the unfortunate relevancy that we still have, the struggles that are still real for Black men of color in this country?
Man, you know, we got a long way to go. It was beautiful to see what was happening in London and happening all across the globe for George Floyd, but like, it's just crazy that
Is it
how
enough?
you still feel like, I don't know. No, it's not. It's enough when we start to see change.
Right.
It's enough when we start to see change. You know, unfortunately, I have to talk to my son or my cousins and stuff about how to conduct yourself when you're approached by like a police officer. You know, it's unfortunate there's still a conversation. It's unfortunate that sometimes you literally don't even have to be doing anything. And I just think that it's fucked up that the relevancy is still there, but it's imperative that we keep on growing together as a community, because you know, I can walk out this theater today, they're not gonna know I'm a college graduate. They're not gonna look at Josh as a college graduate. They're not gonna look at Easy as a vet. You know what I'm saying? And so the only thing we can keep doing is telling our own fucking stories.
Yeah.
Because this is the revolution.
Yeah, and I agree with the same way, is that I can go in the street and I can hold a sign and I can participate in the march at the same time, but I know I can do my special thing of what I do as an artist, to work with a piece, to produce a piece. Like right now, I'm not even sure how well this show will do financially, but I'm also thinking it's at a time where that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is about getting our message out.
Our stories.
Telling our stories, getting our message out, but also letting the world see that this is a group of African-American men from Baltimore who, as Robert said earlier, owning our own ass, creating our own work, and creating our work where we can speak to our own people. You know, now anybody else want to join in, come on and join in. We sell tickets to everybody. So, but at the same time, it's about empowering our people. And so that's what I know how to do. And so that's what I'm doing right now.
It speaks a lot to where we are, and kind of not necessarily closing out, but closing out this portion of the interview. Speaking to the legacy of this piece, you say a lot in the interviews that you do, and I hear you talking about it. This pays homage to Dr. Shania, with For Color Girls, and definitely August Wilson, just with the collection of men and the storytelling. Speak to
pay homage to Living Color too.
And Living Color. Many of our Black kind of foundations within the arts and entertainment field. Why do you say that, or why do you point that out?
Well, I point it out because we are people that we have to remember where we come from. We have to remember the stories that were told before us, people who laid the groundwork for us, and things like that. And we can't stop telling their stories, or tell our own stories, but use their style. Where I always say we're the nephew of For Color Girls, because that style was done in the 70s. That laid a foundation. And that laid a foundation where there's a whole audience of people out there who don't come to the theater. The majority of our audience are not theater goers. You won't see them going to the regional theaters around in Baltimore and Washington. These are not theater going people, but they will come to the theater to see a piece like this. So, and this is how we keep cultural enrichment within our own.
I see so many different elements of August Wilson in this, and Madman, because it feels like a ritualistic scene to me. And many, you got the dancing, it's many elements put together, and I guess Choreopoem style productions lend itself to be taking bits and pieces of what our culture is and kind of mixing it together and then creating it and showing it off.
It's like having a beautiful African quilt.
Mm.
And that's the way I look at this show. You know, and sometimes we just can't stick to one or two characters or one or two stories. You know, because when you take the Black family and you have 4 or 5 people right there, you're gonna find so many stories and so many different directions.
So I see an art show coming up. We're going to have to get Dev on to do some quilt making now. Kind of tie the theme in together. But can we end with some information where we can find you on social media, how to get tickets, so on and so forth?
My handle is on everything the same: Facebook, Robert Lee Hardy; Twitter at Robert Lee Hardy; IG at Robert Lee Hardy.
I just do Facebook and Instagram. I don't do Twitter because I'm not trying to argue with a whole bunch of people that I don't know and I really don't want to talk to. So you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram, and that's it.
There we go. So we'll be going up when?
We go up on the 29th of August at 7 p.m. with live stream here. You can go to Eventbrite, and Eventbrite just put in Real Nigga Show.
A Real Nigga Show.
A Real Nigga Show. And nigga is in quotation marks, and that's our special way of setting our name apart. So, and you can find us there. The live stream is starting at 6:30. The link will be live, that people can link.
Go directly.
Yeah, go directly to the link. And then at 6:55, the beautiful and talented Tracy Jiggets, who's our choreographer, who's one of our stage crew members, who's one of our on-stage dancers, our soul sister, our magical Negro. She will come out at 6:55 and give greetings just as if you were coming to the theater for a live experience. And we're going to try to keep it as much just like you're going to the theater. We're going to film it like that. We're present it like that. So people, you know, they're going to the theater at home. You know.
So that's it.
Okay.
See y'all on the 29th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We did good.